All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming. We're going to get started with this afternoon's presentation on winning sales, compensation, and management strategies, talking about how to incent your sales reps, your experienced sales reps, your management, and driving compensation plans for higher, for higher RMR. Your speaker today, Lou Sepulveda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Wow, you guys don't know me. You can't get away with that. Good afternoon. Yeah, much better. Come alive. I know lunch has just gotten over and it's a little tough, and me too. I just got finished eating. Okay, so what we're talking about is compensation plans. And so first things first, that's the plan. I am Lou Sepulveda. I'm a CPP for whatever that's worth. But to give you a little bit of my background, and I think it's important you know who I am, what I've done, and where I've come from. So before you listen to anybody, you should know that. You should make sure that person is really an expert in the field he's talking about. I believe I am. I believe I can prove it. But so 45 years in the sales field approximately is actually a little bit more than that. 36 of those years spent in the alarm business. It's more than that, too. I'm right at the 41st year in the alarm business, so it's a long time. I also owned and operated my own company. So those of you who own and operate your company, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt for that. So I understand your pain. I've been there. I developed and managed a security organization that was very, very big. In fact, the gentleman that was just up here comes from the ADT dealer program. I started that in 1995. I started a security pro program also for ITI. So I've been through dealer programs, started and ran them. My largest sales organization, because we're talking about how to compensate salespeople, my largest sales organization was over 20,000 salespeople. So I don't know if you ever heard the term herding cats. Well, we tried to manage 20,000 salespeople and to complicate that even further, put them all over the world speaking different languages. It was a lot of fun. So they were in 30 countries around the world, but I found out that salespeople are motivated by the same thing no matter where they are. So in all the countries of the world, I found the same things motivated them, and I was able to use those things to help produce the results that we did. I built a $5 billion organization out of that effort. And since then, I've been managing companies, both as a consultant and as a full-time employee. Right now, I am managing the company for ASG Security, and I have the state of Louisiana that I'm building. So I want you to think about that as a humbling experience for a minute. Just think about this. So 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe a little longer, I had responsibility for the entire world. I mean, the world was my territory, the world. And I traveled the world, and now I have Louisiana. So it's a bit humbling, but it's fun, and I love it there. I am the author of 7 books. 5 of them are still in publication. My job here is not to sell you any books, and I don't even have any with me, so don't ask. But you can find them on the internet, and you can go to any bookseller. They're all there. My last 2 books, Selling Security Systems Like a Pro and How to Manage a Security Sales Organization, are the last 2 books I have out. They just recently came out, and they do very well. So the first thing we're going to talk about when you talk about compensation plans or anything along the lines of managing salespeople is planning, because you have to start with that plan. Because no one fails to plan. No one plans to fail. They simply fail to plan. And a ship without a well thought out plan is like a ship without a rudder. You have no idea where you're going to land if you don't decide where you're going to go. So a company without a plan is what I should say. So remember this quote, because I'm going to repeat this a couple of times. Remember this quote. It says, reward the behavior you are looking for. Reward the behavior you want. Reward the behavior. You're going to hear me say that a couple of times. So step 1 in developing a compensation plan is to ask yourself some questions. Ask yourself some questions about your business. What is your creation cost? How many of you can tell me exactly what your creation cost is right this minute? I don't want you to tell me, but how many know exactly what it is? How much it costs to create your business? Okay, good. We have a couple of you. Every one of you should know that number to a decimal point, what it costs to create business for your company. Because from that, you'll be able to extrapolate how much you can afford to pay in a compensation plan. So what's What is your creation cost? What is your goal? What is your target creation cost? You need to know those things. And then you have to ask yourself, what's important to your company? I don't care what's important to mine or the person sitting next to you, doesn't matter either. It's what's important to your company. Is installation revenue very important to you? There's lots of companies out there, and you know that, and some of you are doing this. Some of you are selling for zero installation. And you can do that as long as you understand how the metrics work for you. If you understand it and manage it that way, you can do very well. If you don't understand it or it doesn't fit your model or your company, you can lose money really fast doing that. So you have to understand, is installation revenue important to you? Is RMR growth important to you? What I would suggest, RMR growth should be important to all of you. Would you agree with that? Anybody disagree with that? Okay, great. Because the only value you have, and hate to say this to you, and some of you don't buy it, the only value you have as a company when the time comes to cash in your chips, I cashed in mine many years ago, the only value you have is your RMR. That's all it's worth. And that's good. I mean, there's a lot of money in your RMR. So you need to know RMR growth is important to your company. And for many of you, it's a combination of the both. For my organization that I run now, it's a combination of both. I need both of those factors to make sense in my business. So plan your sales budget decisions based on some of those things. So you have to ask yourself, how much should you include in your plan to reward and compensate salespeople? You need to have that number before you start. How much do you have to spend on sales production? How much? Then you ask yourself, forecasting your business. What's your head count going to be? How many salespeople? What is it going to be this year? What is it going to be over the next 5 years? And I know some of you are saying, geez, I can't forecast out that far. You can if you try. You know, how do you start with a plan? Anybody ever heard of the plan that, I think it was Harvard University came up with it. It was a big study that came through Harvard University to decide on how to structure a business plan. And they came up with an acronym for it. It's WAG. Anybody heard that plan? Anybody know what it means? Wild ass guess. It's exactly what it means. Yeah. So you start a plan with a wild ass guess, and then you go to a EWAG, which is an educated wild ass guess. And then once you get a little bit past that, and it gets better and better, it becomes a scientific wild ass guess. And it really does work. I know this sounds silly. And SWAG, EWAG, or WAG. It actually does work, and I use it all of the time. I used it at Tyco when I was running Tyco worldwide. And I use it in my business, and I use it all of the time. Because if you don't know where you're going, you have to pick a spot. You have to say, well, I think I can get here in this amount of time. So you start with a WAG, which is a guess. And then you check your WAG against reality after about 30 days, 45 days, and it becomes a little bit more educated. And so then you get closer to an EWAG, then you get closer to a SWAG. Does that make any sense at all to you folks? Okay, great. All right, so you need to forecast your sales force growth, your head count for this year and over the next 5 years. And there's some reasons why. As you grow your company, you have to ask yourself, will I need team leaders? Will you need team leaders? You'll have some salespeople you're going to hire, but do you need people to manage the salespeople in the field? Can you do all of those things? Can you manage your organization? Can you manage your installation, your service, the administration of your business? I have to do that in my business. I manage all those departments. I can't possibly manage the salespeople in the field right now. I can't do it. And I couldn't manage those 20,000 salespeople scattered all over the world. Couldn't do it. And I suggest you probably can't either. So you have to think about how many people am I going to have, and will that result in having to have a team leader or 2 or 3 in my employ to make that work? Will I have to hire a sales manager? If I don't have one now, will I have to hire one? Based on my WAG, EWAG, and SWAG, will my company develop to the point where I need a sales manager to manage sales, who's going to manage team leaders, who's going to manage salespeople? Will I need that person? So you need to lock those expenses down. You have to know what those expenses are going to be before you develop your compensation plan. Why would you think that's so? Anybody want to help me with this? Why do you have to know this before you get your compensation plan in place?
You don't go bankrupt.
You don't want to go bankrupt, number one. So suppose without doing this, you decide I can afford to pay, I'm going to grab a number, $300 in commission for an average basic sale. That's my number. I picked it, $300. And suppose you actually can. So but then down the road, you now have 3, 4, 5 salespeople. You decide I need a team leader. I need to be able to pay that person to help these salespeople. Where's the money coming from? If you can afford 300 and that's all you can afford, where is the extra money coming to pay that team leader? Now you could say, well, I'm just going to reduce the commission paid to the salespeople. Yeah, so sales revenue, but it better be there, right? If the money's not there, you don't have it. Then if you start backing down on your sales commissions, and I've seen companies do it, they start lowering the commissions, and then lo and behold, they start losing sales people. And the people start getting disenchanted with the whole organization. So if you have to have a salesperson and you haven't planned on that ahead of time, a team leader rather, if you hadn't planned on it ahead of time, you're going to find out you'll be in trouble sooner or later. Same thing's true with a sales manager. Where's that money come from? I mean, you only have so much money coming into your company per sale, so you have to ask yourself where it's going to come from. So you need to lock down those expenses beforehand. You need to say beforehand, here's how much I have, because someday I'm going to have a team leader, and someday I'm going to have a sales manager, and here it's from this budget that's going to pay for it. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. All right, so then that's the discussion. Okay, so the next thing is, do you differentiate yourself? Do you differentiate commissions on company-generated leads or self-generated leads? How many of you do? Got to. Right. So should you is the question. Yes, absolutely. The gentleman in front said you got to. Why?
If you want to give the team incentive to go out and generate their own sales, it makes them more valuable.
Reward the behavior you're looking for. Reward the behavior you're looking for. So if you want your salespeople to generate leads on their own, if you want them to do things above and beyond the normal, what a normal salesperson will do, you need to reward that effort. You need to put something out there in front of them that says, if you do this, you'll get that. So definitely there should be a difference between self-generated leads, sales leads that the salesperson develops themselves, and the leads your company generates, and those include a phone call coming in because somebody saw your truck going down the street, or somebody saw your yard sign in the yard. That's a company-generated lead. You put that sign out there, somebody else sold it, the salesperson didn't. That's a company-generated lead. I believe the salesperson makes less on that sale. All right. The other thing is you may decide, I'm going to spend some money to create leads. I'm going to go in home shows or any type of show. I'm going to do those kinds of things. I'm going to do some advertising on TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, whatever, on the leaflets that they send out. I'm going to spend some money. Well, you're spending money to create leads so the salesperson can make a living. Obviously, you have to pay less for that sale so you can afford to pay for that advertising. That makes sense? All right. So. Compensation plans must start with your desired results. So now knowing what your plan is, knowing what you want to get out of it, you have to start your compensation plan with those results in mind. So when they sent me this talk request, they said, I want you to talk about junior salespeople and work up. Well, I always had a program designed around how do you start an organization going, and how do where does a person who just comes to my company, where does he start? How many of you think that the best place to get salespeople in this industry is to get somebody who's never sold in our industry before? Yeah? Yeah, I think so too. Now, because most of the time you're not going to find people who have experience, and if you do find people who have experience, sometimes the experience is not so good. Is that right? Any of you had that experience already? Why are they not with the company they're with before? Yeah, now that doesn't mean that they're absolutely no good. It just means that chances are you're going to have some problems. You're going to have to get them to unlearn something, and you have to get them to relearn your program, what you believe is the right way to operate in your company. Does that make sense? So you're going to have to start people from scratch. So you're going to have to hire a junior salesperson. That's what I call a junior salesperson. Somebody who doesn't know our business. Maybe they know sales. Maybe not. I don't much care. If they have a sales aptitude, I'm still going to hire them. But they're going to be a junior salesperson. So is this fact or fiction, this statement? Junior salespeople need help as much as they need money. Think about that. So junior salespeople need help as much or maybe even more than they need money. Yeah. See, because if you start a junior salesperson, you say, okay, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to spend some time in the office, I'm going to give you some things to read, I'm going to run you through a little training course maybe you'll go out and ride with a salesperson and see how he does it, and now, whoa, you're off on your own. So the fatality rate is really high at that point. That salesperson is on their own, they're struggling, they drown easily. So I think they need help, and that's where a team leader comes in, by the way. Is somebody that is willing to constantly help that salesperson get through the early days of their learning process. Once they're on their own, once they learn, they know what they're doing, they'll survive. But initially, they're like a brand new baby. They're like an infant, and they die easily. So that statement, I believe, is true. So, in fact, if you agree, you must design a compensation plan that encourages another team member or team leader to spend valuable time, that person, that man or that woman's valuable time, helping this brand new neophyte salesperson succeed. You need to have that structured into your compensation plan. Okay, you have to set performance standards and compensation tiers also along those same lines, and I believe it helps you develop a career path. See, how many of you have a structured career path within your company that when you hire somebody, you can say, here is your career path with our company. If you do these things, you'll get to these different levels within our company. How many have one already set up? Hey, good. Back here, one. I believe you should have it, and I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to help you do that. Every time I hire a salesperson, I sit down with them and say, here's the plan, here's the path, and here's how you get it. And it's very definite. There's no guesswork. There's no, well, he might promote me, he might not promote me, he might let me go to that next level, he might not. Everything is defined. It's black and white, no gray. It's very, very sure. I know exactly how I'm going to get to this next level. And salespeople thrive under that kind of a program when it's really clear what the rules are and how I can advance within this company. So here's the sales tiers. A junior salesperson trainee is my first level. So that's when they first come to work. They're a junior, they're a trainee. I don't care if they came from another company, they're still a trainee. How fast they get out of trainee is a question mark, but that's where they start. The next position in my company could be a sales associate, security consultant, call it what you want. That's my next level in my company, is a sales associate or security consultant, call it what you want. The next level is a senior sales associate or a senior security consultant or any other title you give it, but I believe it needs to have a title. I think they have to have something that they can put on a business card or something they can put on a plaque on their desk that says, I'm a senior versus a sales associate versus a trainee. The next step up is a team leader in training. I'm going to explain this a little bit more how that happens, but a team leader in training is the next step up. And then there's the team leader, is the next one up, followed by a sales manager. Oh, hey, wait, I might grow beyond the city I'm in. I might grow beyond the office I'm in, so therefore I might have to have a district sales manager, somebody who's responsible for multiple offices. And then I might have to have a regional sales manager, and you can go on to a national sales manager. You can keep going from there. So does that look like a career path to you folks? So if you sat down with a salesperson, you're just hiring them today, you tell them all about your company and all about the opportunity, all about this industry, and you can say, now, here's your opportunity with us. You're going to start off as a trainee because you need help. And I'm going to make sure you get help. We're going to put you through a training program. We're going to provide this. We're going to provide that for you. You're going to get help. We want you to get to the next level, which will be a sales associate. You'll become a salesperson with our company. Call it what you want, security consultant. If you become really good and need less help, you'll become a senior security consultant. And after that, if you demonstrate to me that you have the aptitude, you have the desire to help other people, it comes out of you naturally. I don't have to force you to do it. You seem to want to help people. To me, I'm seeing a team leader in training. Does that make sense, guys? So how many of you have seen salespeople in your organization who, for no other reason because they want to, they automatically help another person? No reward, they just do it. Yeah? That's a team leader in training. That's somebody who has an outwardly driven ego. See, I think the difference between a salesman and a sales manager is a salesperson has an inwardly driven ego. Inwardly driven. I'm the best, I'm the greatest, nobody better than me. Don't give me anybody else to work with. I don't have the time because I'm great. I waste any of my time, I don't make money. I'm great. And they need to be like that. They need to feel that way because that's how they overcome rejection. They can get past rejection because they have so much confidence in themselves. A manager, a sales manager, a team leader has an outwardly driven ego. They take pleasure from seeing somebody else succeed as a result of their help. That make sense? So that's the difference. So when I start seeing somebody just exhibiting those qualities, then I know I have a team leader in training. And I tell them that. I ask them if they want to be a team leader, if they want to advance up that ladder. And if they do, then we start working on their training. Well, back up. So sales manager obviously is somebody who can manage team leaders and manage an organization of salespeople, and of course district sales managers managing sales managers. So it's almost like a pyramid, and I hate to use that word, but it's almost like a pyramid, is that you're working this way. You're working out. There's many more salespeople than there are team leaders, than there are sales managers, than there are district managers. All right, so now when you establish that criteria or that career path, then you have to set up some criteria. I said earlier that it's going to be black and white. You're going to advance to this next level by doing something. So here it is. So as a junior salesperson, you have to ask yourself, how does that salesperson advance to the next level? What do they have to do? You need to know that answer. You need to establish an answer. In my organization, it depends on the type of sales. In residential selling, I think they need to make 3 to 5 sales. 3 to 5 sales. Now, they don't have to make those entirely on their own. They can make it with the team leader. But if the team leader demonstrates to me, or can say to me, you know, this person went out and made 3 sales or 5 sales, whatever number I put on it, and they did most of the work themselves. They understood the design of the system. The layout was great. The presentation was getting better and better. This person is learning. That person deserves to be promoted to the next level. So the salesperson knows that going in. I have to make 3 sales. I have to make 5 sales. I have to make 10 sales. You decide. Don't make it too hard, because all you're doing is holding them back. Give them an opportunity to get ahead, but put some kind of criteria on it that says, in order to get to the next step, you have to do this.
What about a time limit?
You can do a time limit as well, but the next level is a time limit. See, as a trainee, they're going to sink or swim. They're going to make it pretty fast, or they're not going to make it at all. So 3 to 5 sales. Yes, sir.
In those 3 to 5, I mean, do you have to qualify that they can't be sort of friends and family, or because somebody says they're on the parents, right, and then they're on the board one?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. But I've rarely seen a salesperson come in with 5 of their family members. But hey, I'd probably congratulate that person. Yeah. Yeah. But they better have a really big family. But no, I wouldn't pay a whole lot of attention to that. I think they need to have the experience. That's what the 3 to 5 really is. Did they make 3 to 5 presentations? Did they do 3 to 5 system designs? And of course, we're going to review all those, and some of them are going to be pretty bad initially. And so you're able to go over the design and say, okay, see, what you did here, you probably should have done it this way, and that's part of the learning process, right? So over 3 to 5 sales, say again?
I'm just wondering, on this career path, is there a compensation change for each of these?
Yes, sir. That's going to be the next group of slides. Yeah, absolutely. Because along with the title should come some money. Right. And again, I said earlier on that you had to have money in the budget to do all of this. So I had that pre-designed. Okay? Yeah, great. So I have to know how many sales it takes to get this person to the next level. And when they get to the next level, I need to make a big deal out of it. See, it's one thing to say, okay, you're now a security consultant, you're now no longer a trainee. We like to celebrate that and make success stories out of it. And we want to cheer about that, and we get the whole organization to do something about it, and make sure that we recognize you've achieved. You've got to that next level. That's what keeps them going. It keeps them energized. The next level up is the sales associate. See, a sales associate, to me, still needs help and guidance. So here's the way I was taught. Years ago, I went to a seminar done by a Dr. Jerry Faust. He was a PhD, and his training was to restructure companies and countries. So this guy, he had a way of describing people's development in a business. So the first person, that junior salesperson, he would describe as a baby, an infant. And that infant needs cuddling, guiding, watching. You can't let them get too far because they're going to hurt themselves. They'll be out in the street and get run over by a car. They need nothing but help, right? The next one is an adolescent. So they're beginning to be able to walk and run and climb all on their own. They still need help and guidance. So a sales associate needs help. They need help continuing on, but they don't need as much help as the trainee. Would you agree with that? So they need less. And so I would set a performance target, and to the question of how long, here it is. I would set a performance target achieved over time. See, now that I know they can sell 3 to 5 systems, whatever I set, now I'm going to say, now you need to hit a target over a 90-day period. I like to use 90 days because it gives them enough time for hills and valleys and bumps and so on. So I set a target that says you need to accomplish this over a 90-day period in order to advance to the next level. So what is that? If you look at your company's average performance per salesperson, that would help me get there. So how many of you have done that? Done the averaging of the number of sales per salesperson in your organization? Anybody? Back here. Yeah. Very few people do. But I can tell you, you know what the industry average is? I've consulted for so many companies, it's not even funny. For summer companies I've consulted for, national companies, Tyco, my own company when I was managing it worldwide. The average sales per salesperson per month, 10. Nobody likes the number. 10. 10 sales per salesperson per month. Yes, sir.
Is that commercial, industrial, or
Residential. Residential. Commercial, it could even be less commercially because now it's big sales over a longer period of time, right? Yes, sir.
just want to clarify on this performance target. Are you saying, let's say the number's 10, are you saying for the next 90 days, 10 per month? Or are you saying you have to hit 30?
30 over the 90 days.
Yeah, so 10 per month for the next 3 months, and you have to hit 80% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm
Weekly, then,
looking at a daily, weekly, month. I'll show you how I track it. But yeah, I look at it every day because you can't wait to the end of the 90 days to make a decision. Along the way, you have to decide how much help does this person need. Maybe they need more coaching than the other person does, and that's the way it works. So over a 90-day period, I'm going to measure that person's results. And I'm not going to go by the industry averages of 10. I'm going to go look at my own company and say, what does the average performer in my company sell? But I can tell you, though, that working with, there's a company in California I did some work with a couple of years ago, big summer company, and they sell 800, 900 systems a month out of this organization. They sell a lot of systems, but if you did the math, and I did, it came out to be 10. And when I told the owner of the company that, he was shocked. He said, no way, no. And I showed him, how many salespeople do you have? How many numbers, what is the total production? It was 10. When I was managing ADT offices all over the world, and the ones here in the United States, I'd go visit the office and I'd say, what's your average sales per salesperson? And the sales manager every time said 40. It was amazing. I don't know who got together with who, but I get there, I say, so what is your average per salesperson? They say 40. And I go, oh, okay, you sure about that? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So then I grabbed the numbers. I already had the numbers before I get there. You know, like a lawyer, you never should ask a question that you already don't have the answer to. So I already knew the answer. I just wanted to know what he thought the answer was. And so when he said it was 40, I said, well, here's your branch performance last month. He goes, okay, that's right. Is it right? Yeah, that's right. It's in the record. Yeah, it's right. How many salespeople do you have? Yeah, that's right, too. Divide it. What does that equal? Well, but I don't think that's acceptable, he said. Well, no kidding. I understand that. But it is 10. I know you don't like it, but it is 10. So what I was trying to get across to the manager was, you don't have to like the number, you just have to know what it is. If you don't like it, okay, good. Try to do something about it. But until you can do something about it, you have to use the number. So if I have a target of 300 sales per month, and my average is 10, and I don't think that's acceptable, but it is, then what do I need? I need 30 people out there producing, right? Or otherwise I'll never hit the 300. And if I go out there thinking it's 40, then I'm going to go out there with 8 people, and I'm not going to hit it. And I'm always going to be apologizing for not hitting my number. Does that make sense? Anyway, all right.
question, do you only look at sort of sales, completed sales, or do you think about the sales funnel, like how many leads they generate?
Oh, no, it all gets back to that. Yes, sir. Yeah, the question was, do I only look at the sale, or not the sales funnel? Oh, no. Yeah, nothing happens until you boil it all down to what does it take to get the presentation, to get the sale. They're all numbers. They're all metrics that you can manage.
But in terms of managing the performance target, you do every aspect of the funnel? Or just
Yes. Yeah, well, if the numbers are off, then you have to dig into why. Yeah, because that question should keep resonating through your office. Well, I didn't hit my number. Why? Well, I don't know. So let's dig. Why? Why didn't that salesperson perform like they were supposed to? How many presentations did they do? How many leads did they get in order to do presentations? What's their closing average? There's all kinds of things that add to the number. And I'm going to tell you what ours is in just a minute. So yeah, so you set that as a performance target. You give them a goal to strive for. You give them something that can be measured, and then you measure it. And then when they get to that target, then you reward them with a promotion to the next level. So here's the senior sales associate now who has earned his way to that title. He has to, by the way, he or she has to continue to earn that. They don't get there and they stay there forever, but you know, by and large, they never go backwards. They leave. You know, so a senior sales associate has to maintain minimum performance requirements. That shows that you're consistent. You're a consistent producer. I would rather have 10 consistent producers than 2 superstars and a bunch of also-rans. Because the consistent performers, I can bank on those people. I know what they're going to do. I can budget on them. I know what they're going to produce for me. The superstar is up and down and sideways, and who knows sometimes. So I would rather have consistent performers, and that's what you get when you do that. And I always use a 90-day run rate. So just for definition, a run rate to me is I'm going to look at your performance for last month and the previous 2. Next month, I'm looking at your performance from the month of June and the previous 2, and then July, the month or August, the month of July and the previous 2. So the run rate is always rolling forward. Each month I can look at the run rate. It's not every quarter I look at it, it's every month I look at it, okay? And in my case, every day. All right, so now the question about compensation. Do you compensate accordingly? Yes, sir, I do. So here's how I do it. So a junior salesperson or trainee is earning a half to a third of what the compensation plan normally would be for a producing salesperson. Grab a number. It's supposed to be $300 commission. I'm making this up. I don't suggest you pay $300 or $400 or $600. I suggest you don't pay $600. Yeah. I know companies out there that are doing it, and boy, you better do a lot of business. Anyway, so it's half of what the normal compensation plan is supposed to be. That would go to a junior salesperson because a team leader is living with that person. I mean, they're almost welded at the side. They're almost secured at the side. And they walk together and they sell together. And so he's getting lots of quality coaching and help. So his chance of succeeding is far greater because of that. Make sense? So he's getting about half. The rest of the balance, the other half, is going to the team leader, the person who's welded to his side. That's his reason for doing that. That's his or her reason for spending all that time, is because I'm going to make sure that person's successful and I'm going to make this extra money when I help them. But it goes beyond that, and you'll see in a second. A sales associate is about 2/3 of the comp plan. So they haven't quite got to the comp plan. So if it was $300, instead of $100, now they're making $200. A pretty big bump in pay. You know, you were making $100 a sale, now you're making $200. Wow, that's cool. Again, hypothetical. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and we could talk about, if anybody wants to, we could talk about the merits of draw against commission or guarantee or salary, God forbid. Totally against salaries. But anyway, a senior sales associate is somebody who's at full compensation, standard override to the team leader. See, the team leader is still making money on that senior sales associate. Now, that senior sales associate should need little to no help, but they still need help. See, every day in my office, a senior sales associate goes to his team leader, hands over the paperwork for the sales he made yesterday. They together review it, and there should be almost no errors in it. But if there are errors, then the team leader's job is to point out the errors, tell them to get it corrected, and or give them coaching on how to correct it in the future. He checks pricing, he checks design, but by and large, he's pretty sure that this is going to be pretty fast and easy. The person before him, the sales associate, oh boy, we got some work here, right? Okay, so full compensation with an override to the team leader. Yes, sir, back there.
Do you ever compensate the team leader based on time? Because, you know, when you have a new salesperson, it's really a drain on the team leader's commission.
Yes. So up here, he's making 2/3 of the commission is going to him for his team, and he's still making sales on his own. Now, he's not going to be one of them every second of every day, but yeah, he's going to invest. That team leader has to be willing to invest some of his time and make less money the next week or two in order to have a person out there producing for him. Does that make sense? Yeah, so there is an investment, and it doesn't always work for everybody. And if the person is the type of person who says, I don't want to give up anything, I want to do my own sales, I'm not willing to do it, then he's not a team leader. You know, team leaders make sometimes less than a salesperson can. Sales managers make less than some people can, and I make less than all of them. I make less than a sales manager. My sales manager makes more than me every month. I'm happy about that. Yes, sir. Oh, I am.
The junior salesperson and the sales associate, the difference, they get paid half or two-thirds. Does that go to the team leader?
Yeah, oh yeah. Every penny of the difference goes to the team leader. Yeah. Yes, there was a question back over here. All right, we will, yes, sir.
Just a quick question. So if you have a guy that's not willing or that doesn't want to be a team leader, does he still pay an override to the team leader?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir.
So even though he basically has the experience to be a team leader, but he doesn't want to do it, he's off doing his own sales.
He's not actually paying it. The money, he gets full commission. He's this guy. He's on full commission. There is extra money in every sale that we set aside for a team leader. So he doesn't pay it. We don't want him to think that way either. Because he's going to say, just like you said, you mean I have to still pay for that guy and I don't need his help anymore?
The guys below him, though, both do.
Yeah. Well, part of their commission is going there. Yes. Yeah. And they are paying for it. Yes. They're paying for the help. So the next one is team leader in training. And here's a person, again, that exhibits the desire to help other team members, is a good example of our program. And I think that's really critical. That's a critical statement I'm making there, is a good example. So a team leader to me is someone who exudes confidence, who believes the company line. Whatever we say about our company, this person is the example of it. Whenever we tell salespeople, these are the things you have to do to be successful. This is what you must wear. This is what you must do. These are the things you must say. The team leader is exactly that. What a team leader isn't is a rogue salesperson. That's what a team leader isn't. A manager isn't either. A rogue salesman, I love them. I'll put them in their own corral. I'll leave them by themselves. I try to control them as best I can, but if I put them with somebody else, they're going to kill them. You know, think about this wild stallion, great stuff, beautiful animal. You put them with another one, they'll just kick them all. They'll kill them. And that's a rogue salesperson. Now, I don't mind having one. I'm just going to keep them isolated. I'm going to keep them away from everybody else. And certainly, please don't make him a manager, because he'll ruin them. I remember doing a training class for a national company that I was responsible for, and part of what I did was training. And I went back afterwards and checked on the salespeople, and I called on by phone. You know, so what happened? And so the salesperson said, well, yeah, it was good. I loved the training, but when I got back to my office, my manager asked me what I learned, and I told him. He said, yeah, forget anything about that. We don't do any of that stuff. What? What? What's the point? You know, if we're training the company story, if we're training what the company wanted, then why would a manager say that? I mean, that's silly. It's counterproductive. Don't send them to training if that's what you're going to do. That happened to be with a company whose name I can't mention, but I can give you the initials. It was ADT. But I had a manager that did that to me over there. I went, what? So a team leader is a sales manager in training. Yes, ma'am. Okay, say that a little louder. I couldn't hear.
What size sales team is too small to have, or here's that size where you want to work on in a team lead?
Okay, there's almost no size, but so when I hire one salesperson, obviously I have no team leader, right? So I have to be it as best I can, find the time to do it. If I have 3 salespeople, I hope one of them can raise to the level of a team leader. But for me, 4 salespeople to 1 team leader is pretty much max. Anything more than that, and they don't have any time, and the weakest one dies. You know, so it's usually a 4-to-1 ratio for me. That's kind of the rule I follow. I've seen people run an 8-to-1 ratio and even higher, and then I suggest to you those people die. A lot of the weakest one's going to die. It's like that bird that flew out the nest and mom doesn't have a chance to help her. Okay, so a team leader is a sales manager in training, able to manage 3 to 4 salespeople. There's your ratio. And sell also. So a team leader is producing, not as much as he used to, but is managing 3 or 4 salespeople who are producing, and he's getting overrides on all of that production, ranging from 2/3 of the commission down to just the override. Make sense, everybody? Okay, so maximum comp plan plus the override. So when he makes sales on his own, he's making his own commission, which is the maximum commission, plus his own override. The override he would have made if somebody else sold it. You don't take that away from him because he deserves that extra money. He is a team leader or a sales manager. The next one is the sales manager. Sales managers, that's the first time I get into a salaried role. A sales manager almost has to be on a salary. Doesn't have to be, but almost has to be on a salary, plus an override on the entire team's sales production. Everybody in this environment. Now, I could have 2 sales managers in an office, and I do. In my operation, I have 2, and I will shortly have 3. And one of my sales managers is responsible for only residential people. One of my sales managers is responsible for only small business salespeople. And then my next manager that I'll be bringing in shortly will only be responsible for commercial, core commercial, and fire and that kind of stuff. So they're different expertise, different levels of training that they have to have. So that's how my compensation tiered plan works. So we'll go on. So again, reward the behavior you want to develop. Sales champions, now these are people who have already made it to senior level, they need motivation. They don't need training as much anymore. They've been trained. They know what it takes to be successful. In order to get them to be maximum successful every single month, they need to be motivated. You need to do something different. A commission isn't enough. Believe it or not, commission isn't enough. Even though it was enough to get them there, it's not enough to keep them there. And so the only thing to keep them running, to keep them doing maximum performance, is to reward them with some motivational types of things. So I'll give you some examples. Here's my office, and these are actual facts right now. I track and measure every single day. Now, people think I'm obsessive about that, but that's too bad. I do it every day. Just before coming in here, I looked at my today's numbers. I've got them all. I also have my sales manager sending in my daily sales report. I want to know what they sold yesterday. I want to know it today, not next week, not next month. That's installation revenue and RMR, and how many sales were made. So I track and measure the following. I want to know the installation revenue by salesperson. I put it on a whiteboard. I'm a visual person. I don't know about you. Some people are not. I've got it in my computer. That's not enough for me. I have a big whiteboard in my office. Any of you, by the way, ever want to be in New Orleans and are there for a visit, come see me. I'll show it to you. It's updated every single day. I do it. I don't have my secretary do it or any admin person do it. I don't even have a secretary. I don't know why I said that. I don't have anybody do it but me. I do it. And the reason why I do it is when I write it down, I'm writing down the salesperson's name and what they produced or didn't right next to their name. And it prints it right in my head, and I know right now this person's needing help because I could have not erased his number from yesterday because it's the same. And I don't like that. So anyway, I track and measure every day. Installation revenue by salesperson. Gross RMR production by salesperson. See, to me, what's important to our organization, the metrics that we care about is gross RMR. We care about RMR. We want RMR billed every single month. We want to build it in our local organization. My office, I don't care what the rest of ASG or any other company does. Doesn't matter to me. I care what we do. And then they care what we do, of course, also. So gross RMR production by salesperson gets written on the board by me. Average RMR production by salesperson. I want to see salespeople have a nice high average. When I start seeing a low average and lots of production, that's okay too, but then I realize that there's a reason. Why would selling the same product in the same city to the same types of people, why would one salesperson average $36 a month in RMR and the other one average $28? Anybody want to tell me? Why would that be? Yes, sir. Doesn't ask for it. He's afraid of it. Yeah, and it's absolute fact that some salespeople can't get $36 out of their head. They can't say those words. They can't say it. They think it has to be 28 or 25 or 24 because they won't get the sale otherwise. But other salespeople have no trouble because they believe in what they're selling. They think it's a better value, and that's what they sell. So when I see somebody with a low RMR average, and this will tell me every day, if somebody has a low RMR average, I can do something about it. I realize this person needs some coaching, some help, if there's nothing else, some psychological help. Or why is that number so hard for you? And do you believe in what it does? It's not. We don't charge a number because we want to charge a number. Services come along with it, right? So anyway, so average RMR. Total monitored sales by salesperson. We sell a lot of things. We sell cameras. We sell access. We sell a variety of products. Even our residential salespeople can sell cameras, intercom, surround sound. And so if it doesn't have RMR on it, then it's going to drop their overall average. So I want to know how many monitored sales, how many sales that included monitoring did they sell this month? So far, month to date. Yes, sir.
Count, it's two accounts on the same location, same property.
Yeah, so it's two different people, two different RMRs?
Well, it's the same customer.
Same customer.
Like maybe one of them is video monitoring and the other is their standard.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a higher RMR average overall. Yeah, count as one, and it'll equal whatever the average of the two is. But if I'm digging down to that salesperson's performance, and that salesperson, using your example, happens to be $29, and I go, what happened? So if I dig down into it, I find out, well, he sold 8 service plans in there, and those service plans were $10 or $9, and it did something to his overall average. Oh yeah, then it explains it to me. That makes sense, right? Oh, 10 sales per month? Yeah, it has nothing to do with that, no. That's just the average sale per salesperson per month.
He's asking about units.
Yeah, unit sales.
We have a tier of 15, reference owns 15 units. He goes out to commercial applications, sells one commercial, goes to sell guy's house and his brother's house. Is it 3 units or is it 1 unit?
He sold a system to his brother's house, his house, and somebody else's house? All in the same sales goal. That's 3. That's 3 units. 3 RMR packages, right? Yeah, that's 3. I hope he sells 20 at that house.
What if it's 3 accounts on the same property?
Still 3 units. But the question gets back to, do you measure units or do you measure dollars? Yeah, and in some organizations you're measuring units only, because the units come with an RMR that's pretty average in your organization, and that's what you're driving. So units count. I also measure units. Okay, so let's go on and get to the next one. Yes, sir.
The one you had there, total monitored sales by system, is that units or is that dollars?
No, no, monitored sales is units. That's units.
Average RMR is per unit or?
Per sale.
Okay, so what's my average per sale?
Per sale. And the gross RMR is all of your RMR.
For the month?
Yeah. So I got it all now. So now I have how much total production in RMR did you produce? How much was your average RMR that you produced? And how many total sales did you produce? So it all comes back to the same number.
Do you ever track anybody over time, like how much you did? Oh, I think you said.
I track it all the time. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
In, this period versus last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You do true months.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're doing 90-day run rates. So I'm tracking it constantly. So total of the above for the entire department, because I have a department goal that I'm trying to achieve. And so I want to see if the whole department achieved that goal. And again, I measure that daily. So I'm going to give you our results. I don't mind sharing. So here's today's. This is as of today, which means sales turned in yesterday, which means sales made the day before. You have to kind of understand that in your own head. But, the sales got turned in yesterday morning. They hit the record this morning because they got put into the system by our order entry people. So today's month-to-date results, here they are. The installation revenue for my company, my office, month-to-date is $109,000. That's our installation revenue. We're number 1 in the country with ASG with that number. Yes, sir.
How many sales staff is in your office?
I have 10. Yeah, 10. Three new ones now going into training, but I have 10. Gross RMR production for the month so far, again, day before yesterday, is $6,700 of new RMR. Not bad, huh? Yeah. Average RMR is $33.16 overall average. Last year it was $20 and something cents. Why did it change? Because we drove it. Reward the behavior you're looking for. When you reward it, it happens. Funny thing how that happens. So right now my average is $33.16. It's going to be different tomorrow. But right now it's 33 month to date. Total monitored sales month to date, 229 as of day before yesterday, sales. So halfway through the month, we're at 229. Not bad for one little office. And so total of the above department, that's it. You just saw it all. So that's what our office is doing right this minute, and I'm tracking it and measuring it and monitoring it. I had a goal in the beginning of the month. I wanted to exceed $10,000 in new RMR production for this month. And we'll do it. We're at 6,700. It'll be the first time we ever did. But I'll talk about that again. So sales goals by track targets. You have to set goals by track targets. So the question is, however, setting goals is not enough, and that's the problem. Just saying, okay, this is the goal I want, it's not enough to get there. To know I want to get there is one thing, but it's not enough to get there. So I've got to do something to cause it to happen. So I've developed rewards for that's over and above the commission for achieving certain goals. Give you an example before I even go to the next slide. We had our top month in last year was something like $4,500 in RMR production, top month. In January, it was a little over 6,000. In February, because we kept setting that bar higher, it was a little over 7,000. So in March, I set a goal for $8,500. It was like 74 the month before. And I told the sales department in a sales meeting we hold every week, I said, our goal for the month of March is $8,500. And if you achieve that goal, besides the commission you earn, each one of you is going to get another $200 bonus money paid, every one of you, regardless of how much you contributed to the pile, every one of you is going to get $200. And I was about to go on to the next point when somebody from the back of the room said, yeah, but Lou, what if we get 9,000? Well, that's a stretch goal beyond stretch goal. And I said, then and there, I said, you hit $9,000 and I'm going to take everybody to Ruth Chris Steakhouse, besides the $200. $9,100 is how we finished the month. Now, I guarantee you, no way in God's earth would they hit $9,100 had it not been for that. But you know what else happened? I know they can do it. See? Now they can't say, oh, that's impossible, Lou. You just can't do it. There's not enough time in the day. Uh-huh. You did it for Ruth Chris. and they did it. Oh, it cost me a bundle, but it was worth it. Because now it goes forward. It keeps going that way forward. We never got below that since. How many did we take? I took 10 and a couple of new trainees. I spent a couple of grand. Yeah, it cost me some money. But it was worth it. It was worth it. So anyway, so monthly contests work. I have a contest every single month and contests that spontaneously happen. So here is my contest for this given month, the month that we're in. So the most installation revenue, I told you I need that in my organization. We measure on that. First place performer gets $300 and he earns 10 points. You'll see in a minute why. Second place, there's no third place. Second place gets 150 and 5 points. Highest gross RMR. Highest gross RMR, because sometimes the highest installation revenue is not the same as the highest gross RMR, often not the same. The highest gross RMR, first place 310 points, second place 205 points. We value RMR higher than we do installation revenue. As you can tell, there's another $50 in that deal. Highest average RMR, because once again, I want the averages to be high. First place 300, second place 150. Top Gun, $500 on top of all of that. So how do you become Top Gun? Highest points. Highest points. So somebody could win installation revenue, come in second place or not at all in highest gross RMR, be highest average, and win. So it gives them several targets to shoot at, and all of the targets that I want them to hit. I want to drive all those numbers. And so that's what it's going to cost me. So somebody do the math. It's 450, that's 950. It's another 500, that's 1450. It's another 450, that's what, $1,900. That's what that contest cost me. It's worth every penny.
Over how many units, right?
Yeah, because the unit production is going to be there, because in order to hit those numbers. Now, I do put minimums, by the way. I failed to mention that. I absolutely should mention that. Yeah. You could have the highest average RMR and sold one. So that dog doesn't hunt, right? So you're going to love this number because too many companies don't achieve it. My requirement in order to be paid off on any of these is you have to do a minimum of 30 sales in that month. Now that sounds like a lot, but all of my salespeople, for the most part, exceed 30. So That's the requirement. So that right now I have somebody who's leading the pack with $39 and something cents overall average, but he has 18 sales in for the month. So he's got some work ahead of him because he's got to get to 30. Otherwise, it doesn't count. He goes to the next highest.
Is that company-generated leads?
No, it's just sales in general. Yeah.
But do you get?
Oh yeah. We create leads. Yeah. We do. Yeah. At the end of the day, what our goal is to make sales.
Right.
And so whatever we can do to make sales happen, we do it. And as long as it makes financial sense. Yes, sir.
Is your goal sales or RMR?
It's RMR.
Because if
It's
one
R-
guy brings in $1,000 in one sale and then RMR, okay,
That works.
he'd be penalized.
No. Oh yeah. On the average, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Now the commercial group, since I'm just forming that commercial group, they're going to have a different set of metrics because there's no question that can happen in the commercial arena. My commercial manager, or manager in training actually, he brought in a $165 RMR the other day. Yeah, and so he wouldn't stand a chance in a contest because he never sells 30. But right now he has $34,000 in change in installation revenue for the month, and he has about $500 or $600 in RMR for the month. Yeah. So yeah, you have to change the rules for that kind of department. Yes, ma'am.
What do you find the ratio is if you hang that carrot out there for self-generated leads versus the ones you're providing them?
So what I think it is, or what I would like it to be. So in my case, when I took over the management of this company, it was about 5% company self-generated leads. The rest of it was company-generated leads. We had what I describe as lead junkies, and that's okay. I mean, they make a lot of sales, and we have closers, and that's the other thing we need to talk about because closing has a lot to do with it. So when I got there, the salespeople were 95% of sales came from company-generated leads, and they were closing roughly 35% of the sales that we sent them on, appointments we sent them on. Now they're up to 70%.
On closing?
Yeah, because we worked on it.
Yeah.
We worked on it.
Raise that and lower your costs of,
Yeah, so we make more sales for less advertising dollars, right? And then we're up to 35% self-generated from about 5%. So you keep working those metrics. You can't change them overnight, so you just got to build them little by little.
And what is the spread? Because I've managed people that if I give them the motivation to do self-generated, they spend all their time trying to generate leads because they think they'll make more money and they're not selling. So you can also.
They're not selling the company-generated leads.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You could go too far.
Yes, you
and
can.
miss their target. So have you figured out where that?
That's why these contests come to play, because it really doesn't matter how you made the sale, the contests still work, so they still need the numbers. I can tell you that if you walked in my office early enough in the morning, I'm there at 7:30. So if you were there at 7:30 in the morning, by 8 o'clock, 8:15, you'll see a salesperson or two duck in my office and look at the board. And they're only looking at it because they're that far away from being first place. And they do it, and I'll watch it, and I love it. That means my contests are working. Okay, moving on. So anyway, set high but achievable stretch goals. Well, I told you about the stretch goal we had with 9,000. Now it's 10,000 for this month, and I think we're going to do it. But unless you set those stretch goals, they'll never happen. Like I believe that unless if that person in the back room hadn't said $9,000, and I said we'll take you to Ruth, Chris, I don't think we would have hit 9,000 that month. I don't. I think it happened because they all got behind it and they wanted to get there. So I set stretch goals. But there's nothing worse than a goal that's impossible to achieve. And big companies do it all the time. I'm going to pay you $1 million. You got to sell $2 million in sales next month. And everybody says, yeah, right, sure. What's that? Yeah, 11 gets you to Commanders, yeah. No, that's surprising they didn't challenge me on that one this month. But anyway, so I set high but achievable stretch goals every month. So just enough that's beyond the measure. Do they always hit it? No. If they always hit it, then it's not a stretch. So if they don't hit it, I don't punish them for it. I just tell them, we just missed the stretch goal. Let's try it again next month. And when we hit it, then we set a new plateau. What we're doing is working that bar up little by little. So anyway. So when you analyze your results as you're going through your company and you use the WAG, EWAG, and SWAG plan, and you're looking at what you would like to achieve and how soon you'd like to achieve it, you have to ask yourself, are you happy with the results? And if you're not happy with results, you have to analyze why. What's wrong? Where did you go wrong? So if it doesn't make you happy, you have to dig in. You have to pick the area needing most improvement. You have to decide what that is. Like early on, my first decision was, we're giving them X number of company-generated leads every single month, but they're closing 35% of them. If I do nothing more, nothing else, but get the closing percentage up, our company makes more money for the money we've invested. Nothing else. They don't have to self-generate another lead. They don't have to sell a bigger system. Nothing else, but just sell more of them. Our advertising cost is the same. So that's the area I thought needed working on, and we worked on it. Now we're up to 70% overall average because we worked on it. So ask yourself what can be done to turn the trend, to improve the results, and don't try to fix everything at the same time. You'll never get it done. So pick an area, work on it. Okay, so here's the areas I find most need improving in order to get to your numbers and to make those compensation targets work. Poor lead generation skills, you asked early on, or the funnel, you asked too. So where does it start? Well, it starts in generating leads. I mean, the company's going to generate only so many, and I've proven in my organization you can only create so many, and then you kind of run out of opportunities to create them. So it goes beyond that. So we work on lead generation skills. Presentation skills, so that means once you got that lead, how well do you do when you're in front of that customer? Poor closing skills, obviously I mentioned that a minute ago. Low closing percentage needs help. Not enough sales per salesperson. So he does really well, but doesn't sell many. So we have an energy level problem. We have somebody who doesn't have high enough goals. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's not good at all. An RMR and installation revenue is too low. That's usually what needs improving in most companies. So you have to analyze, why is your top salesperson doing so well? I'm going to check my time here. Ask yourself that question from time to time. Why is your top salesperson doing so well? Does everybody agree that you have a salesperson in your organization that, I know I go to any company at all, and I go in and I say, who's your top salesperson? And they go, Amy. They don't have to say, well, let me check the record. They know exactly who the top salesperson is. Isn't that true? Everybody, any organization of any size, they can point to one or two people, always, top salesperson. Kaz, top salesperson at Dictograph in the 80s.
Mouse Goldberg.
Levine, Howard Levine, #1 salesperson. Yeah, every month, #1 salesperson. But, why is that? So I don't like not knowing the answer to that. It drives me to drink, and I don't drink well. So why do some salespeople succeed? So here's what I found out. I did some study on it, and I found out, why isn't everybody a pinnacle success? Here it is. See, I think every single day we have to decide what path we take in life. And that's as a manager, that as a person, that's as a salesperson. What path do we take? We can take that one to the left, and it happens to start with pain. That's a painful road. I know as soon as I go down that road, it's going to hurt. But at the end of the painful road is pleasure. I know that. And all I have to do is take that painful road, and wow, pleasure's on the end. That's like going to work out. Boy, I'm a bad example of that. But the person who goes and works out every day, it's painful to work out every day. At the end, wow, feel good, physically fit, live longer. Nice deal. The other side of the road is the pleasurable road, the easy one. And at the end of that, unfortunately, is pain. Tony Robbins says that people gravitate towards pleasure and avoid pain almost at all costs. That's the problem. That's the power within, is people tend to gravitate towards pleasure when they really should go towards pain, because it'll end in pleasure. So what's painful in our business? Cold calling is the #1. Cold calling. Now, I'm not talking about door knocking, door to door, as the summer companies do, but that works too, by the way. That works. I trained a lot of people to do that, but we don't do any of it in my office. I can tell you, go to my office, I'll show you. We don't do any door-to-door selling. We don't, because our fire marshal laws are really, really tough. Our licensing rules are really tough. We can't do it. If we wanted to do it, we can't. Now, we do clover leafing, meaning that we make a sale and we clover leaf all around that sale, because when one person does something, everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. There's opportunity right next door, and we do that. So we do some cold calling, and in businesses, you cold call. If you don't cold call, you won't be as successful as you could be. And so would anybody argue this point? I would like to say that if you cold call, whatever business, selling anything, you will be more successful than if you don't. Anybody want to say that's not true? It's an absolute fact. But it happens to be painful to some people, really painful to others. And so it resides on the pain road, and so people don't do it. And why don't they do it? because they think it's going to be painful and hurt and people are going to say no. The next one in there is phone prospecting. Our salespeople are forced to, by the way. I found out we couldn't make it optional. So every Wednesday afternoon, our salespeople are brought into the office and they have a 1 hour long phone session. They're required to do it. They come in 1 hour every Wednesday afternoon and they get on the phones and call existing prospects, existing customers, the emergency call list, leads, sales that they didn't make, they just follow it up. And guess what's happening? Every time we do it, they all have appointments that result from it, every single time. And sales result from that. Oh, no. They get appointments from that. There is no exemption. We found that happening. That happens. Salesperson says, well, I couldn't make it yesterday. Where were you Wednesday? I couldn't make it because I had an appointment. So my answer to that is, do you always make 2 appointments on the same time? Is that something you do? I mean, that might be affecting your sales. And the person says, well, no, I only had 1 appointment. I said, no, you had 2. Your first appointment was here. And the second appointment was the one you made on top of that one. How do you do that?
What about your backup appointments?
Yeah, well, right. Yeah. In that case, yeah. But this appointment is firm. And so sometimes you have to treat them like kids. So we put a rule out, and it went out in a memo, that if you skip that meeting, you're not allowed to, but if you do, you're not going to get any company-provided leads for the next 2 days.
Even the team leader, even the best salesperson.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Or she doesn't want any.
Yeah, because if my top salesperson is there every Wednesday. I have one of those too. I can tell you exactly. His name is John. He's an animal. He's an absolute animal. But nobody can figure out how he makes so many sales, but he does. Anyway, so the phone prospecting is part of it. They'll be upset. I'll mess it up. That's the reason why they don't do it. Asking for the order. We train our salespeople. You always ask for the order on every single appointment. There's no reason not to. Commercial, residential, doesn't matter. You ask the customer to make a buying decision. If they don't, they're not going to get it. And the reason why they don't ask is they're afraid they're going to say no. Asking for referrals. Boy, that's a gold mine in our business. Who would disagree that the referral business is a gold mine in the alarm business? Anybody want to disagree with that? You don't think so? Oh, you agree. Yeah. I mean, referrals are golden, but salespeople are afraid to ask sometimes. They don't think they deserve it. Sometimes I've had salespeople tell me, I'll get referrals after the system's been in a month or 2. I want to make sure that they like it. You mean they spent money to buy something and they weren't sure they were going to like it? I mean, come on. Ask them right then and there. Why not? So referrals are important in business. They're afraid they're going to say no, that they won't give you referrals anyway. People don't like doing it. There's all kinds of reasons. Using a planned presentation. I'm a firm believer in planned presentations. I did a meeting yesterday about how to sell a company value, and I talked about that. I believe you have to sell your company's value, and that's in a planned presentation. I don't want to leave it to chance that the salesperson is going to know what to say, how to say it, about what our company is, what we're all about, what our culture is, what we provide, our experience, the customers we protect. I want that to be documented in a plan. So what I look at it as a roadmap. So if you're a brand new salesperson, I'm going to give you a roadmap. You follow this roadmap, you're more likely to sell. Does that make sense, guys? So I use a planned presentation, but salespeople oftentimes resist planned presentations because they think it's not me, I'll sound stupid. And they do initially, but eventually they sound really good. So anyway, that's on the pain road. Studying, reading, practicing. How many of you practice every day? Practice your presentation. Cause salespeople to come in the office and role play. Every Tuesday we do. Every Tuesday I have my salespeople come in and role play. It's part of the requirement. You know Tiger Woods hits 1,000 balls every day. You know professional golfers hit 1,000 balls every day. Tiger Woods hits 1,000. His wife, what was her name? She was hitting 2 recently, but I think that's over now. But practice makes perfect. Yeah, that hurt. That hurts just thinking about it. Okay, so the people who take the pleasurable road say, yeah, success is overrated. It isn't everything. It's overrated. And my loser friends are happy enough. Who cares?
Just go have a beer.
Yeah, let's go have a beer. What the heck? It's not worth all the effort, So here's a research study that was done by a company. In the book, Earning What You're Worth, was done by Dudley and Goodson. They're both behavioral psychologists. And they did a study on sales failures. Why do people fail? And here's the results they came up with. 80% of salespeople wash out because of poor contact initiation. In other words, they don't make enough calls, period, over and out. They don't see enough people or prospects. And then worse than that, the poor performers develop phobias They develop phobias against doing what they need to do. Now they won't even do what they know they have to do. They'll starve to death watching. They're unable to take pride in their career. They think sales is only a stepping stone to a real job. and this behavior is often reinforced by the company. The company says, you're not a salesperson, you're a consultant. You know, my salespeople are called salespeople. We call them salespeople. And we want them to say, I'm a salesperson. That's what I do. I sell. And I sell something that's worthwhile. So I don't want to hide from that. I want my salespeople to feel good about being a salesperson because nothing happens until a sale is made, period. Anyway, other productivity killers, poor generation skills. This is from the book. Poor lead generation skills, poor networking skills, poor canvassing skills, poor presentation skills, poor phone skills, poor upmarket skills, poor problem-solving skills. Man, right out of my book. This book is what they said. This is what the psychologists came up with. So the reason why my number one performer is number one, the reason why your number one is performer is a better performer is they are a better prospector usually. They're a better presenter. They're confident they'll make a sale before they ever make it. They know how to handle common objections. They know how to handle the objections we face every day. They're better closers as a result of it. They ask for and get referrals. And by the way, they're hard workers. John, my top superstar, I ask him all the time in front of the salespeople because I want them to hear it. Why? How do you do that? How do you sell 81 systems in a month? How do you do that? How do you sell 20, 30% more than the next guy? Well, I just work hard. And he does. He works hard, long hours. Yes, sir. Yeah, he manages his time more effectively. And he asks people for leads. He asks them. He doesn't hesitate to ask. He's a big referral gatherer. So when you discover areas of weakness, pick the one that's most important and start working on it. If prospecting is weak, develop compensation plans. See, that's where it dovetails all back to compensation. If you think your salespeople are weak in prospecting, then put a reward on prospecting. Put a reward on it. Don't just say, you got to get better at it and you'll make more money. Yeah, that's for sure. But put a reward on it. Set a contest. Put a contest on it. The one who creates the most leads on their own gets something. If you do that, you'll see it happen. You'll see it happen. Train on prospecting skills and search for lead development programs that'll help develop more sales. Here's some of them. Cold calling, obviously, referral gathering, clover leafing, bird dogs, insurance agents, real estate, inspection companies, tip clubs, or anyone who sells anything to a homeowner for residential selling. So, salespeople, successful companies keep salespeople happy and motivated. They understand what motivates a salesperson. And I don't know if I can get through all of this, but we did a study. And here's what we found out. I mean, it's not real rocket science, but salespeople like to be applauded. So what we did was we put a bell outside the office. When they come into the sales arena, when they make a sale, they ring the bell. Very simple. They ring the bell, people go, yay, wow, way to go, ring a bell. They like to be applauded. They like to have fun. We have a fun environment. Everybody comes to our office. We had somebody come to our office from one of our other offices, and they said, man, the energy level is so high around here. Yeah, we make sure it is. They like money. By the way, don't forget the money. They like to make money. And it all requires that they succeed. They like recognition. We have trophies. We have awards. We do a lot of stuff. We have parking spots, all of that. And we know that every person has their own personal motivator. So we set up, when every salesperson gets hired, we sit down with them and say, what do you want? What do you want out of life? And let's see if I can help you get that, whatever it is. So we set up their personal rewards, and we work towards achieving those things. And when they achieve it, we make a big deal out of it. Simple. So learn what motivates salespeople, then use the motivator to motivate them. Primary motivators, period, are recognition, money, and fear. In the alarm business or in sales business, it's recognition and money. Forget the fear. You can't scare somebody into being successful in this business. It doesn't work. I think it's recognition and money. Those are the two things I have to work on. So we did a study when I was running the international program. We decided, the fact is that a salesperson comes to work and he could be at any level of motivation, so anywhere up to from 0, or maybe even -6, all the way up to 12, just for example. And that motivation level is going to last for a day, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5 months, weeks, whatever. And so we try to figure out what does it take to increase the motivational level. So we found out that if we do a training, that it raises them from, let's say, a 2 to a 6, that it gets them 3 times more motivated because we trained them. People do respond to training if you train them often enough. We also found out that if you add a motivational section to the training, it does even more. It does even more. And then if you do some field coaching, you get even more yet. So since we're out of time, I'm going to tell you what we do every single sales meeting. I'm not only going to tell you, I'm going to show you. And your boss is coming to my office, isn't he? In August. He's going to see this. Your boss, Tom. Tom's coming to my office. Anyway, everybody stand up. At the end of every sales meeting, this is what happens. So this is the end of this meeting. Here's what happens. Everybody stand up. And, by the way, my salespeople did exactly what you did the first time I told them to do it. They got, oh, what the hell? What is this? Calisthenics? Okay, so I'm going to say something, you're going to repeat it. When I say 1, you're going to say 2. Got that? When I say sell, you're going to say for you. 1. 2. Oh, boy. 1. 2. Sell. 3. When I say 3, you're going to say 4. When I say sell, you're going to say some more. 3. 4. Sell. Some more. When I say 5, you're going to say 6. When I say sell, you're going to say for kicks. 5. 6. Sell. For kicks. When I say 7, you're going to say 8. When I say sell, you're going to say grape. 7. 8. Sell. Grape. When I say 9, you're going to say 10. When I say sell, you're going to say again. 9. 10. Sell. 10. Sell. 10. Sell. 10. Every single day. Every Tuesday. Now, if you heard, see the noise level, if I had a noise meter here, my 10 guys make you sound like you weren't even in the room. Because they yell it out. The point is they get excited about it, and it gets their adrenaline going, and they realize that is their job to sell. They need to be motivated to do so. Thank you so much for your attention, guys.